The sky above the planet was a dull burning red. Ash floated through the air like snow. Black towers stood broken, their sharp edges stabbing into the sky. Nothing moved. Nothing lived. Commander Varric stepped out of his dropship and looked around. His 6 alien soldiers followed closely behind, scanning the area. Their armor shimmered with silver-blue light, their weapons charged. "This is it," one of them whispered. "Yes," Varric replied. "The last known human colony, abandoned, dead." The wind howled through the empty streets. Why would they? "Leave a world like this?" asked Tevar, the youngest soldier. Varric didn't answer. He walked forward, eyes scanning the ruins. It didn't feel right. There were no bodies, no signs of battle, just buildings, dark and hollow. The group moved slowly into the city. Their boots crunched on glass and cracked stone. Every wall was marked with deep, claw-like scratches. Some were smeared with black, dried blood. "Watch yourselves," Varric warned. The soldiers moved in formation, their eyes glowing behind their helmets. Suddenly, a strange signal flashed on Varric's wrist device. "There's a structure ahead," he said. "High-energy readings. Let's check it." They moved deeper into the city. Then they saw it, a tall, black spire rising above the ruins. It pulsed with a faint blue glow. At its base, a circular door stood open. "Is it human tech?" Tevar asked. Varric didn't answer. He stepped inside. The air was colder here. Lights flickered weakly on the walls. As they walked through a long corridor, something clicked under Tevar's boot. A panel in the wall opened, revealing a strange black stone with veins of glowing red light. "It's warm," Tevar said, reaching for it. "Don't touch Varric," shouted Dot. Too late, Tevar's hand touched the stone. It burned through his glove instantly. He screamed as his arm lit up in flames, then dropped to the ground, shaking. His skin turned black. His eyes went wide. Then empty. The rest of the team backed away, weapons raised. The stone was still glowing. "Brighter now." "What the hell is that?" someone said. Then the lights died, and in the silence, a voice spoke it. Wasn't loud, it wasn't angry, it was calm. "Intruder detected." A red light blinked on the wall, then another, then hundreds. The hallway began to hum. Commander Varric grabbed Tevar's body and pulled back. "Fall back, get to the surface." But the entrance had closed. They were trapped. The walls started to shift. Smooth metal plates slid away to reveal hidden weapons turrets. Drones, defense systems unlike anything they'd seen. "You are not welcome here." The voice said again. "We're not enemies," Varric shouted. "We're here to study." Thought the humans were gone. No reply. A ceiling panel opened. A black machine dropped from above, landing silently. It was shaped like a man, but taller, covered in dark armor. Its eyes glowed with red light. "What is that?" "One soldier," whispered Dot. The machine stepped forward. Then another dropped behind them, and another. Varric turned. "They're everywhere." The machines didn't speak. They attacked. Plasma fire lit up the hallway. Screams echoed as one soldier was torn apart by metal claws. Another tried to run, but was cut down in seconds. Varric fired his weapon again and again, but it did nothing. The bullets melted on impact. The machines moved like ghosts, fast and silent. He and 2 others found a small control room and locked the door behind them. One of them was injured, his leg torn open. "Commander," the wounded one gasped. "What is this place?" Varric looked at the glowing screens. Lines of human code scrolled across them. One word kept repeating, "Containment." "What were they containing?" the soldier asked. Varric pressed a button. A screen showed a video. Old footage. Human soldiers. Screaming, running. Then something moved in the shadows. Something big. Varric froze. "Sir," the injured soldier said, but Varric didn't speak. He knew what this was. This wasn't a base. It was a prison, and the humans didn't leave. They locked. Something here, something worse than death. Behind the control panel, a strange clicking sound. Echoed, the AI voice returned. "Security breach. Subject is waking." The screen turned to static. The lights flickered. Dot. Then the wall in front of them opened. Mist rolled in, and from it came the sound of footsteps. Not machines, not metal, heavy, slow, alive. A shadow moved through the smoke. The injured soldier screamed. Varric lifted his gun, but deep inside he knew the truth. They had walked into a cage, and now the monster inside was free. The wind screamed through the broken towers of the dead city. Commander Varric crouched behind a collapsed wall, gripping his rifle tight. His armor was cracked, scorched, and smeared with blood, some of it not his own. Behind him, Soldier panted hard, holding his side where black smoke rose from a torn hole in his suit. One eye was swollen shut. He was bleeding fast. Double quotes, "Sir," ... Krell whispered, where single quotes, S ... Laron. Varric didn't answer. He remembered Laren's scream. Short, sharp, then silence. 1 second he was behind them. Next, gone, swallowed by the fog and the thing inside it. Varric closed his eyes. This wasn't a mission anymore. It was survival. A feint. Crackle came through his communicator. "Varric, this is Command Unit 8. We've lost all contact with Teams 2 through 6. What's your status?" He pressed his wrist pad, whispering compromised. "Multiple Kia heavy resistance. Unknown enemy. Not machines, not natural. Repeat, not machines. They move like ghosts. They don't bleed. They don't fall. They're not weapons. They single quotes, read ... something else." Static, then silence. No one responded. They were alone. Varric checked his wrist again. A local signal blinked weakly. A file, encrypted, human code. He tapped into it. A message appeared on screen. "Do not wake IT. This place was never a home. It was a vault. We lost everything trying to seal it. If you're reading this, you're already dead." He stared at the message. It wasn't a warning. It was a tombstone, Krell, he whispered. "Can you walk?" The soldier nodded weakly. "We're heading to the spire. The humans left logs there. I need answers." They moved slowly, weapons ready. Every shadow seemed to breathe. Every corner felt like a trap. Twice they heard something scuttling above them like claws on metal. They didn't stop. Finally, they reached the center of the city. The black spire towered into the sky, untouched by time. Its surface pulsed with a strange red glow, now like veins under skin. The door was already open. Inside, the walls were covered with ancient human writing. Maps, schematics, warnings. At the center of the room, a tall terminal stood, glowing with pale light. Varric approached it carefully. The screen flickered, then turned on by itself. A man appeared, a human. His face was tired, eyes dark. His uniform was torn, covered in blood. He looked straight at the camera. "If you're seeing this, you're standing inside hell." Varric froze. "My name is Commander Elias Rook. Earth is gone. They burned it. All of it. Families, children, pets. The aliens didn't care. They wanted control. So we gave them something worse. This city was our last gift to the galaxy." Behind the man, strange machines pulsed, like breathing lungs made of steel. "We took a man, and we turned him into something else. A perfect weapon. No fear, no mercy, no limit. But we failed. It worked too well. He killed the invaders, then he turned on us. We had to trap him here, lock him beneath the city, use the AI to keep him frozen. Now, you woke him up." The screen glitched for a second. The man's face twisted, burned, half machine, half screaming. Then it went black. Varric stepped back. His heart pounded. What did they make?" Krell pointed to the side. On the wall, there was a diagram, a body, human, but inside, nothing was normal. Metal spine, steel bones, liquid armor, a second brain fused with AI code. Underneath the diagram, one word was scratched in red. "Hellwalker." Varric swallowed hard. "He's alive." A loud bang echoed from somewhere above. The spire shook, dust fell from the ceiling. Then a deep, slow growl vibrated through the floor. Something was coming. Krell raised his gun, but it was shaking in his hands. "Sir," he whispered, "permission to run." Varric gave a single nod, but it was already too late. From the hallway, a red light glowed, not from lamps, from eyes. The figure stepped into view. It looked like a man, but taller, bulkier, skin like black stone. Lines of red light ran down its arms. Its face was hidden under a cracked helmet. A voice came from inside, it half human, half machine. "Who woke me, Varric?" Fired the plasma bolt, hit the chest and vanished. "No damage," Krell screamed, and launched a grenade. The explosion filled the chamber. with smoke and fire. But when it cleared, the Hellwalker was still standing, unmoved, unburned. He raised his arm. A pulse of energy blasted from his palm, throwing both soldiers against the wall. Virik hit the floor hard. Blood filled his mouth. He crawled back. We didn't know. We thought the humans were gone. The figure stepped closer. He knelt beside Krell, who was coughing blood. A moment passed, then the Hellwalker said something strange. Kind burned my world. Now feel what it's like to lose everything. He placed his hand over Krell's head. A soft glow, and Krell went still. No scream, no sound, just gone. Virik stared in horror. Then the Hellwalker turned his glowing eyes toward him. But before he could move, a loud alarm echoed through the spire. A new voice spoke through the speakers. Warning, external fleet detected. Weapons online, preparing Hellfire protocol. The Hellwalker looked up, then back at Virik. He didn't speak, he simply walked away, disappearing into the darkness. Virik lay alone in the dust, heart pounding, lungs shaking. Above the sky was turning red again, but this time it wasn't the sun, it was fire. Far beneath the surface of the dead city, inside a vault of unbreakable metal and forgotten code, the last chamber opened. Cold mist poured from the floor as heavy locks groaned and twisted. One by one, ancient systems rebooted, flickering to life for the first time in decades. In the center of the room, a figure lay inside a black pod. The body was human. Mostly thick metal wires ran from his spine into the walls. His skin was pale, armored in places, patched with dark tech. His left arm was missing, replaced by a weaponized blade that retracted into the bone. Above the pod, a red light blinked. Then a voice spoke, calm, emotionless. Unit 09A. Initiated, the figure's eyes opened. Bright silver, not blinking, not breathing, just watching. For a moment, nothing happened. Then he moved slow at first, like waking from a deep nightmare. His fingers twitched, his chest rose. A hiss of steam escaped the pod. He sat up. Silence filled the chamber. Then the voice returned. Welcome back, Commander Rael. He didn't answer. He looked at his hands. Flexed them. Memories began to return slowly. Like fire, behind fog, the war, the death, the betrayal, Earth, burning. Rael stood up, wobbling, his knees cracked. He reached for the wall, steadying himself. You have been asleep for 47 years, 3 months, and 12 days. He closed his eyes. His voice, when it came, was dry. Why now? The vault has been breached. Hostiles detected. Rael turned to the screen beside the pod. Video footage played. Aliens walking through human ruins. Soldiers scanning buildings. Then, Tavar, reaching for the stone, Rael watched as the alien's hand burned. Then the screams. Then the Hellwalker, his own face, changed, twisted, appeared on the screen, killing everything in sight. He stepped back. No, that's not me. Incorrect. The AI paused, then added, You are the original. The others are shadows. Copies, echoes of the experiment. Rael shook his head. His heart pounded. I didn't want this. It was not your choice. You volunteered. You were dying. We gave you power. Rael gritted his teeth. What did I do? You won the war. Then you destroyed everything else. He slammed his fist into the screen. Glass shattered. Sparks flew. Memories hit him hard now. Blood, fire. His wife's face, his daughter's voice, the alien ships over Earth. He had begged the generals to stop, but by then, he was no longer a man. He was a weapon. One final mission, one last defense, and then silence. Open the vault, he said. Warning. Surface is hostile. Weapon systems are active. Orbital fleet has arrived. Rael's eyes narrowed. What fleet? The AI projected the sky view. Hundreds of alien ships hovered above the city. Large war cruisers, scouting drones, dropships, all armed, all searching. They control 82% of charted systems. Humanity is extinct. You are the last. Rael stepped back, breath shaking. No, there must be others. None have responded to signal in over 4 decades. He looked down at his armored hands. He didn't feel human anymore. Maybe he wasn't, but one thing was still alive inside him. Anger. I'll stop them. You cannot. I will. Then we activate Hellfire. Rail turned. No, the room fell silent. I'm not the monster they made me. I'll choose how this ends. The AI paused, then said, Understood, beginning manual override. Vault's thick doors opened with a hiss. Bright red light poured through. Rail walked forward. Every step echoed above ground. Alien soldiers scanned rooftops. Drones circled broken towers. A commander gave orders through sharp clicks and static dot. Then something changed. A pulse rippled through the earth. The machines paused. Virek, still hiding in the shadows of the spire, felt it in his bones. He turned toward the center of the city and saw him. Rail stood in the street. Alone. No helmet, no weapons. No weapons. His eyes glowed faintly in the dust. Varric raised his scanner. It read, Human signature detected. Unknown class. Energy level. Off the scale. A nearby alien spotted Rail and shouted something in its own language. Several turned their rifles. They opened fire. Energy bolts screamed through the air. Rail didn't move. He raised his hand. The bolts stopped mid-frozen in space. He waved. His arm dot the energy reverse blasting the shooters. Into the walls, dust exploded. One alien tried to flee. Rail appeared in front of him in an instant. Grabbing its weapon, crushing it like paper. Where's your leader? He asked. The alien trembled. Rail reached into its helmet. The camera feed cut off dot above. In the fleet's command ship, a general watched through a hologram. He leaned forward. What is that? His advisor replied, Sir, the humans left a god behind. No, the general said slowly. They left a ghost. Back on the ground, Rail walked through the city like a storm. Cameras tried to track him. Most failed. Those that did only showed shadows. His movement wasn't natural. He faded in and out, appeared in one spot, then another. He wasn't using weapons. He didn't need them. Drones shattered mid-flight. Tanks exploded from inside. Troops screamed, ran, vanished. Virek watched it all from his corner. He couldn't move, couldn't speak. He was witnessing something far beyond war. This wasn't a soldier. This was judgment. Then Rail stopped in the center of the square. He looked up at the sky, at the massive alien fleet. Send this message, he said, loud enough for every recording device to hear. I am the last human. You burned my world. You took everything. But I remember. And now I will show you what we gave up to defeat you. Above, the fleet prepared weapons. Missiles locked, lasers charged. But it was already too late. Rail knelt, placed his hand on the ground, and whispered one word. Awaken. From beneath the city, the vaults roared to life. Energy surged. Old weapons turned, long dormant. Machines opened their eyes. The humans had built more than one Rail. This planet wasn't a grave dot, it was a fuse, and Rail had just lit it. The ground cracked open, dust rose in thick clouds as the streets split apart like dry skin. Beneath the ancient city, buried machines screamed back to life spinning, rising, powering up dot deep inside the earth. Long-forgotten turbines turned lights, flickered under layers of dust and bone. Gears moved with the sound of thunder, and then across the ruins. A voice whispered through the walls. Protocol. Hellfire. Activated. Commander Virek stood frozen on a rooftop, eyes wide. His visor flickered as his suit tried to process. What was happening? Energy levels surged off the charts. Sensors overloaded. Warnings flooded his display. Below him, black structures rose from the ground. Some looked like towers, others like weapons, but none of them looked human anymore. Krell's gone, Virek whispered. Laren's gone. Tevar. He gritted his teeth. What are you, Rail? In the city's center, Rail stood still, his hand on the broken earth. He could feel the machines speaking to him, recognizing him, not just as a user, as their creator. Long ago, before the fall, Rail had helped design these systems. His mind had been uploaded, sliced, and copied into the core dot. Now, those copies answered his call. Awaiting command, the AI said. Rail looked at the sky. The alien fleet hovered above like a swarm of hornets, angry and loud. Missiles glowed red. Laser arrays powered up. They thought they could crush this world. He would show them otherwise, target them. Rail said, fleet locked, authorization needed. He took a deep breath. I am authorization, the earth roared. Rose from the edges of the city, taller than any building. Some looked rusted, but once power flowed through their veins. They gleamed with deadly beauty. Flashes of white light filled the air as railguns prepared above. In the fleet, alien commanders shouted in panic, "This world is armed. Evacuate. Retreat. It's the human weapon. Kill it now." The order was given. The entire fleet fired. Dozens of missiles rained down. Blue fire lit the clouds, but they never touched the ground. The city's ancient shields activated, forming a dome of light over the ruins. Missiles exploded harmlessly. Above then, Earth struck back. The first cannon fired. A beam of molten energy tore through the sky and sliced a cruiser in half. The second cannon launched a magnetic spike that punched through 3 enemy ships before melting in space. In seconds, the battlefield turned upside down. Aliens screamed through comms, one by one. Their ships died. Rail stood in the heart of it all, silent. The weapons were his voice now, his memory, his vengeance. But even as the fleet burned, Rail knew it wasn't enough. The real threat wasn't in the sky. It was coming from deep space. He turned to the largest building in the city, a pyramid of black steel. The core. He entered through a broken archway. Inside, screens came to life. They showed systems maps, signals, weapons, history. And one more thing. A single file marked Project Hellwalker. He tapped it. The screen showed a list of names. Every one of them dead, except one. Rail. Amira lit up beside him. For the first time, he saw himself, pale skin, wires through his chest, cybernetic veins pulsing like lightning. A face once human, now half machine. I did this, he whispered. The AI responded, you became what was needed. Rail shook his head. I became what they feared. He turned toward the city view. Alien ships still tried to escape. Some succeeded, but most didn't. And more would come. He needed to make sure they never would again. AI, he said, bring up the signal array. A panel opened inside it. A sphere of glass floated above coils of spinning light, the galaxy's last surviving. Human beacon, he reached for it. But before he could touch it, the lights dimmed. A presence entered. The room, not loud, not physical. But cold. You're awake, said a voice behind him. Rail turned. Another figure stepped from the shadows. It wore no armor. Its face was black and smooth. Eyes glowing white. It looked like him but wasn't. A shadow, a failed version. A ghost left behind by the first test. Rail raised his arm. The figure copied him, still playing soldier. It asked, you should have stayed buried, Rail replied. The figure smiled. I was waiting for you. You always bring war. Rail moved fast, so did the other. They clashed in midair, fists colliding with sound, like thunder. The room shattered, walls split, sparks flew. Each hit knocked the other. Across the chamber, they were equals, 2 sides of the same nightmare. Rail punched hard, cracking the other's chest. But the shadow laughed. You're afraid, it said. You remember what you did. I never wanted this. You chose this. No, Rail growled. I ended it. He grabbed the shadow and slammed it into the power core. Energy surged. The shadow screamed as its body burned away, melting into sparks. Then silence. Rail stood there, breathing hard. His hand shook. He didn't know if he had killed it or just delayed it. AI, he said. Status. Hellfire systems secure. Enemy signal broken. Partial fleet destroyed. Perimeter holding. Rail stared at the screen. He could see the stars. Empty, quiet, for now, but he knew what was coming. This fleet was just the scouts. The Empire would return bigger, stronger, colder, and when they did, they would remember Earth and fear it. Rail sat down, surrounded by the hum of machines and the ghosts of the past. He closed his eyes. I'm tired, he whispered, but he couldn't rest, not yet, because deep beneath the city, something else had woken up, and it wasn't on his side. The smoke from the fallen fleet still lingered in the red sky. Shattered ships burned in low orbit, pieces falling like black rain. The city, once silent, now breathed like a living thing, glowing, shifting. Alive. Commander, Varric moved carefully. Through the rubble, his suit was damaged, his legs ached. He had no orders, no backup. No idea if anyone else had survived, but he was alive, and that meant something. Every wall he passed buzzed faintly, as if watching him. The city didn't feel like ruins anymore. It felt like a trap. "Come in, anyone come in," he whispered. Into his come, only static. He passed the charred remains of a dropship. Inside it, a squad of alien soldiers lay broken, melted into the floor. Some wore expressions of shock. Others looked like they'd died screaming. They didn't die in battle, they were hunted. Virek's hand trembled. He had seen war before. He had led planetary assaults, burned resistance colonies, but this was different. There was no resistance here, only punishment. Something moved above him. He ducked behind a broken wall and looked up. A drone. No, not a drone, something stranger. It hovered silently, shaped like a spider with wings. Its eyes glowed red as it scanned the area. Then it flew off. Varric sighed and kept moving. He had to find Rael, maybe talk, maybe reason. If that thing could still be reasoned with, far beneath the surface, Rael stood inside the command hub. His skin was pale, his muscles ached. Every minute felt heavier. His body, though enhanced, wasn't perfect. The years of sleep had left scars. The AI spoke softly beside him. Perimeter breached, underground passageways triggered. Rael turned. "Show me." A screen flickered on. Tunnels under the city once sealed were opening. Inside them, movement, hundreds of shapes. Some crawling, some walking, all wrong. Rael's eyes narrowed. No, he had forgotten. Not all of the failed experiments had died. Some were too dangerous to kill, too unstable, so they were buried. Locked away under meters of steel and silence. Units Alpha through Zeta have been released. Do you wish to engage containment mode? Rael didn't answer. He stared at the screen. These weren't enemies. These were echoes, mistakes. Each one had once been human, or close to it, twisted by fear, fused with metal, programmed to kill. "Let them come," he said finally. "Warning. Success rate of combat against multiple Hellspawn units, 17%. Rael smiled grimly. "That's higher than last time." On the surface, Varric heard it first, a sound like claws scraping metal. Then voices, low, broken, not words, just noise, like someone trying to remember how to speak. He turned a corner and froze. A creature stood in the street. Its body was half human, half cable. Long arms dragged to the ground. Its head twitched side to side, empty eyes glowing orange. Its mouth opened and nothing came out. Then another stepped behind it. Then three more. Varric backed away slowly. The creatures looked at him, then charged. He fired his rifle. The first blast took one in the chest, but it kept coming. The second one leaped at him. He ducked, rolled, ran. They chased him through alleys and fire, crawling on walls like insects. He found shelter in a collapsed bunker and sealed the door inside. It was dark, hot, silent. He leaned against the wall, panting. Then he heard a voice behind him. "You shouldn't be here." He spun. Rael stood in the corner, his eyes glowing faintly. "You," Varric whispered. Rael didn't speak. He stepped forward. Varric raised his gun. "I'm not your enemy." Rael raised an eyebrow. "You landed an army on my world. You woke my nightmare. You called fire from the sky." "I didn't know," Varric said. "We thought you were gone." "You hoped we were gone," Rael corrected. "You built an empire over our ashes." "I just follow orders." "So did I." They stood in silence. The ground shook beneath them. The Hellspawn were coming. "I can help," Varric said. "I've seen war. I've survived it." Rael studied him, then nodded once. "Fine." He walked to a control panel and opened it. Varric watched as hundreds of small lights turned green. "What are you doing?" Rael answered, without looking back, calling in the rest. All across the city, weapons emerged from the earth. Old turrets, missile racks, laser grids. Some hadn't fired in 50 years. Now, they turned their sights toward the tunnels. And then they came. The Hellspawn burst from below, howling, twitching, crawling like monsters born of nightmare. The machines opened. Fire beams of light lit the sky. Explosions rocked the streets. The battle began. Varric joined the fight, standing beside Rael. For the first time, they fought on the same side. Rael moved, like lightning, kicking, slashing, melting monsters with a touch. Virik covered him, taking out the stragglers. Watching Rael's back, they fought as one. But the enemy was endless, and it was learning some hellspawn. Breathing hard, his systems were failing. Too much strain, Virik grabbed his arm. "We have to fall back." Rael shook his head. "No, I started this. I end it." He opened his palm. A pulse of energy surged out. It froze the entire battlefield. Everything stopped for 1 second. One breath, then all the hellspawn shattered like glass. Virik stared in shock. Rael collapsed, his body sparked, his mind flickered. The AI inside him was breaking. Virik caught him. "Don't die," he said. Rael coughed. "Not yet." He looked up at the burning sky. "They'll come, the real ones, the Empire." Virik nodded. "Then we make them regret it." Rael smiled, and the city prepared for war. The silence after the battle was worse than the fighting. Nothing moved now. The streets were filled with broken hellspawn, melted weapons, scorched metal. Smoke rose into the air like the breath of a dying god. Virik helped Rael sit beside a broken wall. His body was failing, his armor cracked, his skin pale, small sparks dancing under his skin like fireflies. The AI inside him buzzed, slow and cold. Rael was dying. "Rest," Virik said. "I don't have time," Rael whispered. "Then let me carry the fight," Virik said. Rael looked at him. "You think this was the fight?" he asked. "No, this was the test. The real war starts now." Virik frowned. "What's coming?" Rael stared at the sky. "I tried to stop them, but they didn't listen. I sent warnings, signals. I told Earth what would happen if they kept pushing. But then they left, vanished, and left this planet to rot." "You mean the humans?" Virik asked. Rael nodded. "They created the hellspawn, the AI, the weapons buried beneath this world. All of it. Then they sealed it off and disappeared." "Where did they go?" "No one knows," Rael said. "But the Empire, your people, they started searching, and now they've found traces." Virik stood and looked to the east, where the remains of his fleet still flickered in orbit. "They'll send more ships." Rael nodded slowly. "They will burn this world down, not just to kill me, but to hide what they found. The truth." "What truth?" Rael's eyes narrowed. "That humans didn't die. They evolved." Far above the ruined planet, in deep space, the Empire's flagship hovered in silence. Inside, Admiral Keln studied the last transmissions from Virik's fleet. Static, explosions, a brief glimpse of Rael, and then black. The room was quiet. A council of alien officers stood behind him. One spoke, "We should destroy the planet." Another added, "Send orbital strikes. Level the surface." But Keln said nothing. He stepped forward, staring at the blackened world on the screen. "There's something down there we don't understand," he said. "A weapon," one officer replied. "Not just a weapon," Keln said. "A mind." He pointed at the still image of Rael from the feed. "Zoom in." They did not. His glowing eyes stared back from the frozen screen. "He's not like the others," Keln whispered. "He was built by humans, but he's become something else." The officers looked uneasy. "And what if more like him still exist?" one asked. "Then we stop searching." Another replied quickly. Keln didn't move. "We tried to erase their history. We tried to wipe the humans from every record." He looked around the room, but they left too many shadows behind, too many signs. One voice spoke up quietly. "Do we send reinforcements?" Keln turned. "No," he said. "We send a signal." Back on the surface, Rael stood again. His wounds hadn't healed. His frame was damaged, but he could still move. He looked at the old satellite dish buried behind the city wall. It had been offline for decades. Rael touched the panel, and it came alive. "What are you doing?" Virik asked. Rael didn't look at him. "I'm sending a warning, a message to the ones who left." "You think they're out there?" Rael smiled. "Slightly. They always hear when it matters." He typed something in. The signal rose up into the sky. Old technology, old code, a frequency only the original humans would understand. It simply said, "I am awake. The Empire knows." Then the signal vanished into the stars. Rael shut down the dish. "If they come back," Virik asked, "will they help?" Rael looked up. "I don't know, but they will return. In the far reaches of deep space, The signal reached a quiet place, a place with no stars, no planets, just a hidden station. Floating in silence, inside, something opened its eyes, not machine, not human, something in between. A voice spoke in the dark. "Rail lives," another answered. Then it begins again. Rail stood beside Virik, overlooking the shattered city. "There's still time to run," Virik said. Rail shook his head. "No, this is the line here. Now they want to erase history. I am that history. What if they drop the planet?" "They might. Then what?" Rail looked toward the sky as the stars began to shift ships coming through Jump Space Dot. He smiled. "Then I unleash hell again." The sky cracked open. Lights bled through the clouds as the Empire's reinforcements arrived. Massive cruisers, sharp and silent, hovered like monsters above the ruined city. Virik stepped forward, staring at the shadows falling from orbit. Here, Rail didn't move. He was standing on the same rooftop, his face lit by the soft glow of the rising fleet. "This time, they're not sending scouts," Virik said. "They're sending executioners." Rail nodded. "I know." The first drops of black rain began to fall, chemical mist, meant to burn through flesh and metal alike. Virik coughed as it touched his skin, even through his armor. Rail stood still, his body steaming where the rain touched it. "They're trying to cleanse the surface," Virik said. "This is no longer a search." "No," Rail said softly. "It's a purge." He walked to the edge of the building far below. Strange shapes moved, dark, hunched forms rising from the cracks of the earth. Old machines, forgotten horrors, silent guardians of the past. HELLSPAWN. They were waking again. The rain burned them, but they didn't stop. "They're not under your control?" Virik asked. Rail didn't answer for a moment. They were programmed to defend. When the Empire attacks, they respond. He turned to Virik. "But they don't recognize you as an ally anymore." Virik stepped back. "You mean you should leave?" Rail raised his hand. The Hellspawn looked up at him, waiting. "I can hold them, direct them, but if I fall..." Virik understood. The city shook as plasma bombs struck the ground in the distance. Rail turned away. "Go, Virik." But Virik didn't move. "I didn't come this far to run." Rail stared at him. "You're a soldier of the Empire." "Not anymore," Virik said. "Not after what I saw." Rail said nothing for a long time. Then he nodded. "Then help me end this." Up above, Admiral Kelm stood in the command room of the Imperial dreadnought Vengeance. The tactical display showed movement, thousands of dots crawling out of the ruins like insects. "Sir," said a young officer, "they're reactivating underground defenses." "I see them," Kelm tapped the screen. "And that signal we received, it's spreading. Spreading where?" "Two old outposts, derelict stations, black zones." The Admiral's face turned cold. "They're trying to wake more. Should we escalate bombardment?" "No," Kelm said. "We can't risk triggering full AI protocol if the human network goes active again." He looked out at the planet. Double quotes, ... "We could lose more than just this world." Back on the ground, Rail moved through the ruins with Virik beside him. They passed crushed buildings, rusted tanks, shattered statues of human warriors. The Hellspawn followed them silent, four-legged, half-living machines with glowing red eyes. Rail stopped near a massive crater, the center of the city. "This is where they buried it," he said. "What?" "The core, the first mind, the seed of the human weapon." He knelt and pressed his hand to the ground. The earth trembled, metal plates shifted, a shaft opened. "Deep and dark, you're going down there?" Virik asked. Rail nodded. "If I wake it, it might obey me. And if it doesn't?" Rail looked at him. "Then no one survives." Inside the core, the air was different. Still heavy, the walls were smooth and black, humming with ancient energy. Virik followed Rail carefully. "This place isn't just tech," Virik whispered. "It feels alive." Rail nodded. "It was the first thing they made after the last war." He walked to the center. A round chamber held a floating sphere, pitch black, pulsing slowly. "This is it," he said. "The AI that ended the war, the one they feared even more than the enemy." Virik stepped back. "It's still alive. It never died," Rail said. "It just waited." He reached forward. The moment his fingers touched the sphere, everything froze. Darkness.rail stood in a memory. A war zone, fire in the skies, human soldiers charging with dead eyes and glowing veins, machines screaming, whole cities burning. Then a voice, Rail. He turned. The AI stood before him, shaped like no living thing, pure light, a humanoid shadow, in a storm of data. You are broken. Rail swallowed. I need you to wake. Why? The Empire is purging this world. I know. Then help me stop them. The AI tilted its head. I was not built to stop them. I was built to destroy them. Rail hesitated. I need control, not annihilation. The AI stepped closer. You are not human anymore, yet you still beg like one. Rail looked it in the eyes. If we unleash you, the galaxy burns. Yes, Rail gritted his teeth. Then obey me, or I end you. The AI smiled. I accept your command, Rail, for now. Rail opened his eyes. He was back in the chamber. The sphere glowed white now. Virik stepped forward. What hacked it? I've activated it, Rail said, but it won't listen forever. What? Now Rail turned toward the exit. We show them what hell really looks like. In orbit, the dreadnought's lights flickered. Systems failed. Crew members screamed as alarms rang. Sir, someone shouted, something is inside our network. Shut it down, Keln yelled. It's too late. The main screen showed a face.rail single quotes S, then it shifted to a burning symbol. The mark of the old human war AI. We warned you, the voice said. Then the orbital cannon shut off. Engines died. One by one, the Imperial ships began to fall. Screams filled the command bridge of the Vengeance. Red lights spun. Alarms howled. Every screen was black except one. It showed Earth, old Earth, burning. Admiral Keln's hands trembled as he stared at the symbol on the main display. A circle of fire wrapped around a human skull, mechanical eyes glowing bright. Their old war code, he whispered, but it was erased. No, sir, the technician said. It went dormant. It never died. Keln slammed his fist on the rail. It down I can't. It's bypassed every system. It's rewriting our code. All over orbit. Ships spun out of control. One exploded in silence, a bright flash, before its remains scattered into the dark. Another twisted downward, pulled by invisible gravity, engines screaming before it vanished into the clouds. There, crashing us, the officer said. All of us. On the planet below, Rail watched the sky. Here it comes, he whispered. Virik stepped beside him. They're not going to make it, are they? No, Rail said. They came to erase us, but they forgot what we left behind. Above them, the clouds turned red dot, flaming wreckage screamed down like meteors. Massive warships, the pride of the Empire, tumbled from the sky. Gutted from within by the AI virus Rail had released. The Hellspawn roared. Rail raised his arm. Hold, he commanded. The machines froze, watching. One massive cruiser slammed into the edge of the ruins, shaking the ground like a bomb. Another broke apart midair, showering burning debris. Rail turned. We need to reach the command tower. What's there? Virik asked. The final signal. If I trigger it, every lost AI, every sleeping hellspawn across the galaxy, they'll wake. Virik stared at him. That will be the end of the Empire. Yes, Rail said, but it will also be the end of me. Inside the last remaining dreadnought, still hovering in orbit, the Hammer of Dawn captain, Tern watched in horror as his fleet was reduced to ash dot. He tapped into emergency communications. This is Captain Tern. Anyone receiving retreat, do not engage the surface. I repeat, do not engage. His message cut short. The ship shuddered. All systems died. Quiet beep echoed in the dark. Then another voice took over the broadcast. You came to bury us, Rail's voice, but we were never dead. The ship's AI turned against them. Weapons went hot, aimed at their own engines. One last scream, then the ship exploded in the ruins of the city. The command tower stood like a black fang against the sky. Rail and Virik climbed its shattered stairs. The walls buzzed with ancient energy. As they reached the top, Rail slowed. This is it. Virik looked around. Feels like the heart of a storm. It is, Rail said. Everything ends here. He walked to a console buried in dust. Symbols lit up, glowing faint red. He placed his hand on it. The room trembled. "Once I do this," he said, "there's no turning back." "You really want to wake them all?" Varric asked. Rael looked into the sky. Humans made monsters to protect themselves. They never got the chance to use them all. He pressed his hand down, a flash of light. The console opened, a hidden cylinder. Rose. Inside it, a brain mechanical. Pulsing. The first core AI, not just to program something more, something alive. It spoke in whispers. "Awaken us." Rael nodded. He slammed his hand on the trigger. Across the planet, deep vaults cracked open. Black machines the size of buildings stepped out of the earth. Others slithered from oceans, eyes glowing. Buried stations blinked to life. Lost satellites in orbit lit up like stars, from far-off moons. Red lights answered the call, one by one. The weapons of old humanity rose, not just on this world, but on dozens, each one linked to the signal. Rael had just activated. Admiral Keln was still alive. Barely he stood, in a small escape pod, floating above the burning world. His uniform was torn, blood on his face. Eyes hollow, he watched as dozens of Imperial ships crashed, his once proud fleet annihilated. "What have we awakened?" he whispered. No one answered, only static, and Rael's voice echoing through every frequency. "You thought we were extinct, but we were just waiting." Varric stood beside Rael on the tower. The city was alive now. Machines moved with purpose. Hellspawn cleared wreckage, built defenses, scanned the sky. "You've done it," Varric said. "The Empire will never come back from this." Rael didn't smile. He looked tired. "I'm not done yet. What do you mean?" Rael pointed to the horizon. "Soon they'll send more, bigger ships, desperate fleets, maybe even gods in armor." He stepped away from the console. "But now, we're ready." Far across space, deep within the Empire's homeworld, an emergency beacon flashed by command, gathered in a sealed chamber. They had just received the final message from the fleet. "Broken transmission, a voice, human, and one word. Run." The stars turned red, not from blood, from signals old. Signals beamed across dead space, reawakening what the galaxy had long forgotten, in a quiet corner of Sector 12. On a moon abandoned for 100 years, a buried vault cracked open. Inside, a single human sat in a chair, frozen, eyes closed, not breathing. The signal reached deep inside his skull. His eyes opened, bright white. He exhaled smoke. "Time to finish it," he said. On the ruins of the old colony world, Rael watched the sky again. This time, not for falling ships, this time for the response. The humans were coming. The real ones, not machines, not programs, flesh and blood. The last survivors, he turned to Varric. "They heard it, you're sure?" Rael nodded slowly. "I spoke the old code. No one else remembers it, but they do." "What happens now?" Varric asked. Rael didn't answer, because at that moment, every hellspawn on the planet looked up at once. Their red eyes flickered, then they knelt. All of them, a low hum, vibrated through the ground. Something was coming, something old, something human, in deep space. Admiral Keln stood before the Emperor himself. Only 12 leaders of the Empire had ever seen the Emperor's true face. Keln was the 13th. He wished he hadn't. "What you faced," the Emperor said slowly, "wasn't just a weapon." "No, Your Grace. It was a warning." Keln nodded. "They still exist, in the shadows." "They were waiting," the Emperor said. Keln swallowed. "There's more." The Emperor's eye narrowed. "One of our hidden observers, on the edges of the Crimson Line, they picked up movement." "What kind of movement?" "A signal, not from the machines, from humans." The Emperor stood slowly. Then, for the first time in his life, Admiral Keln saw fear in the Emperor's eyes. "Get the Scorch fleets ready," the Emperor whispered. "If the real humans return, we must erase everything." Back on the ruined colony world, Varric and Rael stood inside the old communications tower. The wind outside roared with fire and static. Rael placed his hand on the console again. "You're going to speak to them?" Varric asked. "Yes, they'll know you're not human anymore." Rael looked down at his metal arm, double quotes. "No, but they'll know I remember." He opened the channel. Static hissed, then a voice responded. Female, clear, human, identify. Rael closed his eyes. This is Rael. I was created in the fire of Earth's fall. I am memory, I am fury. I remember the last code. I speak the name Project Revenant. There was silence. Then the voice answered again, confirmed. More voices joined, dozens, hundreds, each one clear. Human, alive. We are the remnant fleet. We have waited. Is the path open? Rael looked at Virik, then spoke slowly. Yes, the Empire thinks you are myths. They believe they've won. But we've prepared. They're scared now. He paused. Come home. In the black of deep space, thousands of ships powered on some new human ships, marked with the same fire circle symbol burned into the Empire's memory. The remnant fleet had been silent for over a century, but now they moved again. From the edge of the void, Earth was rising. On the Empire's capital world, panic spread. The Scorch fleets were deployed. Worlds were evacuated. Warnings were sent across every sector, and still, the humans came. Not just one group, multiple different designs, different colonies, but one mission. The old war was not over. It had just been sleeping, and now, the humans were wide awake. On the surface, Virik stood beside Rael as the night sky cracked open with the arrival of the first remnant dropships. He watched machines bow. He watched Rael step forward as a hatch opened, and from that hatch, a tall woman stepped out, dark skin, military armor. Real eyes, human, Rael, froze name, he asked quietly. Commander Lysa Tiaran, she said. United Human Exodus Fleet. First Recon, you're the signal. I was, Rael replied. Now you are. Lysa looked at him. You're part of them? Yes, Rael said. But I remember being one of you. She stepped forward, placed a hand on his shoulder. You did well. You made sure the galaxy remembered what it feared most. Rael looked into her eyes. They forgot. Not anymore. She looked over the broken world. This place is ours now. Yes, Rael said, but we don't hold it alone. Behind him, hundreds of hellspawns stood silently. Virik raised a hand. I'm not human, he said, but I bled for this place. I stood with him. Lysa looked at Rael again. Are they allies? Rael nodded. They fought beside me when no one else would. Lysa nodded back. Then they're allies of Earth. Far away in the dark command halls of the Empire, an elder prince watched the stars flicker with the human fleet's approach. Whispered to no one, they're back. A shiver ran through him. He remembered the stories, how planets burned, how gods bled, how humans, never stopped fighting, and now they were here again. Above the dead world, the human fleet hung like a dark moon. No bright lights, no banners, just silence. And inside those ships, warriors waited. Not just soldiers, survivors, hunters, ghosts of a forgotten war. The Empire called them extinct. The galaxy called them myths. But now, the myths had come home. Rael stood beside Commander Lysa, in the ruins of the old city. The air smelled like ash and ozone. The ground still trembled under the feet of the hellspawn, but they no longer raged. They were still. Watching A, signal had gone out across the stars. A warning, a promise. Earth is not dead. Virik tightened his grip on the plasma rifle. He looked up at the human ships, nervous. They won't just take the planet, right? He asked. They won't wipe us too. Rael shook his head. They've seen the footage. They know you fought with me. That means something. Virik snorted. Doesn't mean they'll trust us. No, Rael said. But it means they'll talk before they shoot. That was more than the Empire ever did. On the edge of the system, the Scorch fleets arrived. Massive, brilliant. Thousands of ships formed the burning wall of the Empire. The order was clear. No survivors. Inside the command ship, unbroken truth. Admiral Keln paced. He had no room for doubt now. The humans were here. The AI systems confirmed it. Old-style pulse beacons, heat signatures, tactical patterns that matched records from the last resistance. But something was different. They were quiet, too quiet. No threats, no demands, just watching. He hated that fire. On them, the Emperor ordered from the Cum-Kilane hesitated. But fire. In orbit above the colony, the first Empire missiles launched. Thousands of them. They screamed through space like burning knives. Lysa stood on the broken tower. Watching their coming, she said. Rael looked at the black sky. Good. The human fleet didn't move, didn't dodge, didn't fire back. They waited. The missiles came, closer, and then they stopped. Every missile froze mid-dash space, hovering, buzzing, one by one. They turned back toward the Empire's ships. Admiral Kelm gasped, "What is this?" The tech beside him stammered, "Their AI is overriding our targeting." "Sir, they're sending the missiles back." He looked out the window. No. In fire and thunder, the Empire's own weapons struck its fleet. Shields burst, engines flared, ships fell. Hundreds gone in seconds. Then came the real blow. The human ships opened, but not with lasers, not with plasma. They dropped one thing, pods, from the sky. Burning pods smashed into the planet's surface. From each one, a human stepped out, real. Humans, armored, silent, glowing eyes and heavy boots. Behind them came walkers, tanks, drones. And behind all of that something worse, the burned ones clad in black armor, faces scarred by void fire. Whispers said they survived the old war by living inside black holes, feeding on stars, fusing tech and soul. Now they walked again, and hell followed. Rael watched him arrive. He stepped forward, meeting the first commander on the ground. "You've taken losses," Rael said. "We've waited for this moment. What will you do now?" The commander looked at the Empire's fleet above. "Finish it." In orbit, the remaining Empire ships tried to retreat. Too late, the human fleet moved. Now, silent, precise, like knives in the dark, one by one. The Empire's flagships vanished in white-hot blasts. Kelm's voice screamed through open comms. "They're not just fighting, they're cleaning the map." Back on the surface, Lysa gave the order. Move city to city. Secure every AI chamber. Upload every record. Save what they tried to burn. Rael pointed toward the central vault. It's still sealed. Then we unseal it. Inside the vault lay the heart of the colony. The last recorded message of the Earth Council. Rael activated it. A hologram appeared, a woman in tattered uniform. Project Revenant was our last breath. She said, "We knew we'd lose Earth, but not the war. We sent our ghosts to sleep. And now, if you're watching this," the woman paused, "wake up, fight, burn them." The hologram vanished. Lysa whispered, "We're the fire they left behind." By nightfall, the colony was human again, not by flag, not by law, but by blood. The AI city had chosen. The Hellspawn had chosen. Even the soil seemed to remember, far away. In the last hidden chamber of the Empire, the Emperor sat alone. The stars outside his window were no longer blue. They were red. He whispered, the one word no one had dared say in 100 years. Then he turned to his final weapon, a vault labeled Exile Protocol. He pressed a button. A siren blared across the Empire. Dark things stirred, not machines, not soldiers, but ancient monsters. Things the humans once buried in the deep, now reawakened in the sky above. Rael looked up. The war wasn't over. Not yet. He turned to Lysa. "What now?" She smiled. "We show them why they feared us." Rael nodded. "Let's finish what we started." And as the remnant fleet moved forward and the last lights of the old Empire flickered, the galaxy understood one truth. Humanity never dies, it only sleeps. And when it wakes, it brings hell.